Hey everybody, this is Jonathan again. Recently I had someone ask about my BiSaddle. It's about a year ago, it was almost exactly a year ago when I got it and set it up on my previous bike. And of course it's been on the Revolt the whole time, so I asked about a 1 year kind of long-term review follow-up, talk about if I still use it, how I like it. So that's what I want to do today is kind of talk about it, talk about my history with using it so far. And also I think I'll talk too about where I came from. I came from a couple of ISM saddles. Nothing wrong with the ISM saddles. It's just what I found was this wasn't quite wide enough. I didn't want to kind of get into the game of buying a wider one, and then I've spent 500 bucks on saddles, and maybe I have one that's really comfortable. You know, these are good, but what I like about it with the BiSaddle is I can adjust the saddle as I need to, instead of just having to buy one saddle and work with it. So when I bought the BiSaddle, I actually bought a kit that came with two surfaces. This is the SRT short and the EXT Stealth, I believe, the one with the wide opening in here. I'll throw some pictures in as well. What I bought came with two surfaces and one base. This is actually the base that came with the original setup that I bought last year. All right, this is the one I actually used when I first got the system. I've got about 3,000 miles total on BiSaddle, some on this. I got 2 or 3 months trying this setup and I found out that it was comfortable, but I was still having a couple of hot spots, so I switched over to this, and this is a better fit for me. This one has more of an opening on the top, whereas this one is kind of centered in the bottom. Still a nice opening, more than most saddles. And also it's interesting while we're talking about saddles, before I found ISM, I found this. I was like, I used to ride that. That is just torture. But, so, when I got the BiSaddle, I got the two surfaces, one base. So this is the way I rode with it for probably a few months. And then about the end of last summer, I realized that it's coming up in the wintertime. I have to ride my indoor trainer some more. So I went ahead and got another base. I got a titanium base, which is this one. That way I have basically this saddle for my Revolt outdoor riding, and then this saddle with the original chromoly on my indoor. All right, this is a bird's eye view of the EXT I'm using now on the bike. The reason I left it on the bike is I've got it really dialed in. It's very comfortable, so I'm afraid if I take it off, it'll take me forever to kind of get back to that comfortable position. So I'm just leaving it on the bike. But you can see there the kind of cutout. And of course here side by side with the SRT, which is also a very comfortable saddle. This is the one I use right now on my trainer. A little more straight on the inside. One thing too, let's see, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see there's a little bit of rust here. This is the chromoly. This is titanium. I mostly got the titanium for the new on my main road bike. That way, if I, a little more rust resistance, a little more durability. I'm not too concerned about the weight, but definitely is lighter. I really like the BiSaddle. Again, if you go back to my original video last year, I talked about how to measure yourself. What I found is after I did that initial measurement, I had to still play with it a little bit. I kind of took it out a little bit more, took it in a little bit more, but nothing significant. I didn't do any major changes. It's fairly close to what I measured. And the front, I just kind of go with the flow and it feels good. This setup works well for me. Basically, the front is pretty much touching, and then it goes fairly wide on the back. One thing, too, that I noticed that happened to me a few months ago, I noticed I was having a hot spot on my right side on this surface. Well, I started looking at it, trying to figure out what's going on, what's wrong, what's happening. What I found was my base was actually a little off center. It was a little not quite balanced, not quite level. So I was having this side was a little higher than the other side, causing the hot spot. So they took care of that instantly. I contacted BiSaddle. Level. This is the one. They sent me a new one of. You can kind of see what it looks like on the bottom. They were great. They gave me no issues, no problems, no concerns. Sent it to me almost instantly and then worked with me on making sure I was comfortable getting everything set up. So this is what one looks like. Also, I tried some of these. It comes also with these little wedges. This, I believe, is the flattening wedge. Basically goes in here, goes on there, and then the surfaces go on top of that. And the wedges have just a little bit of kind of a natural fall off, but not too bad. This just basically makes it either flatter or more round, depending on what your preference is. I went with this is straight option right now for my saddle. So they worked with me on that. Very quick, very friendly, great customer service. I can't say anything. They did a great job. Also, one thing too about last summer, I started having an issue. Let me grab this other one. It's kind of hard to see, but like if you look on the surface here, that little screw right there is actually holding the fabric, the soft surface part onto the frame, kind of the subframe that then goes onto the base here. Well, one of those screws on this surface near the front started coming loose. And there's also, you can see kind of another screw right there and one right in there. There's a few screws that kind of hold the fabric surface onto the kind of subframe, I guess we call it. Well, those started coming loose and my surface was kind of moving around and wasn't that steady. So they sent me new screws as well. I had them probably within a couple of days. So again, I'm not connected to BiSaddle, but they've been great for me. They've got great service. The saddle is amazingly comfortable. If you want to go back and watch the setup video, I kind of walk through how to measure yourself, how to set it up, how to install it. Like I said, I don't want to take this off right now because it's so comfortable. But I do like it. I've been about a year, got about 3,300 miles between this surface and this original surface that I purchased because I bought the 2-pack. I think it's a great idea to buy the 2-pack if you're going to get one. That way you have the option of either surface. And this is the SRT 1.0. I think there's a new 2.0 out. At one point, when I was communicating with Brick at BiSaddle about this frame being unlevel, he actually offered to send me out a whole new surface if that was the issue. There's never any complaint or concern about, sorry, that's tough luck, whatever other companies may say. They never had any of that. They were just open to fixing it. But when he sent the new frame out, or new base frame out, it is level. It is great. It's wonderful. I'm really happy with it. As far as tips and tricks, I always do recommend when you're setting it up. I think the instructions said, and I think I said this in the setup video, take your it's got that little short Allen wrench with it. Mine's in my saddle bag right here somewhere. I don't want to dig through and find it. Basically, all it is a short little Allen wrench that, let's say, you can use it to adjust these very easily. Those two you don't really need a special Allen wrench for on the side, but these up front underneath, those are kind of hard to get to, just the nature of where they are in the frame. So it comes with a little mini Allen wrench, which is just a very kind of normal length for a small Allen wrench, but very small head to kind of get up underneath this and get those screws. Take that with you, because what I found was, so when I was out on the road, I would do just a little bit of adjustment because something felt odd, something wasn't quite right, and that helped. So I didn't have to do a ton of adjustment. Maybe the first couple of rides, a little bit here or there, no big deal. One thing I would definitely say is don't over tighten it. I think 3 Newton meters is the recommended tension there. So if you do tighten it on the road, make sure when you get back to your garage, if you have a torque wrench, to set it to that torque. Because what happened, I found out on one of my first rides with this saddle, is I didn't get it either. I think I stripped a screw or something was wrong with it. But for some reason, one of these both came loose right here, and this whole thing started moving in as I was riding. And once this thing starts moving in, it becomes just a very narrow saddle, and it hurt tremendously. Luckily, I was able to pull over because I realized what the pain was, and I was able to go back and kind of tighten these up enough to get back to the house, and then I went back through and tightened them to the proper Newton meter. But don't be afraid to do it on the road, but make sure 3 Newton meters is kind of hard to predict, but just try to adjust it as best you can, or take a little small torque wrench. I have like a small torque wrench that I bought that there for a while I was keeping with me after I did that to this. That was fairly small and lightweight, but now I don't have to worry about it because now I've got it dialed in. I haven't had to adjust this. Well, I had to replace the base, of course, when it was unlevel. But other than that, I haven't had to do anything to this saddle in months now, since probably June, July of last year. I still have an occasional hot spot, but I think that's more my riding posture because it just kind of comes and goes. So I think it's more just me getting used to other bike fits. I got a bike fit this summer as well. So I'm dialing in a few things there. I think there's some things with Q factor, other stuff like that I'm dialing in. But the saddle is the best saddle I've ever had. It's super comfortable. It's definitely not cheap, but I think it's cheaper to buy one of these and get an adjustable saddle rather than keep on buying this ISM, that ISM. So, like I was saying, in conclusion, I've ridden it now about 3,000 miles between this surface and the original. As far as the chromoly base versus the titanium, I got the titanium mostly because I knew it was a little more durable. I had a little bit of rust here, but nothing in any way that I feel feels compromising the integrity of it. I know titanium's a little more resistant, a little stiffer, so I thought, well, might as well, wasn't that much more expensive for my main road one. And then for indoors, I use this chromoly, which is just fine. I highly recommend it. I think it's great. I don't really see me, unless something major happens in this little bit, going away from it. It is definitely the most comfortable saddle I've ever had because you can kind of make it your own. You can adjust it how you need. There are different surfaces. There are some new surfaces that are out now. That the SRT, this is the 1.0, this is the 2.0. I think this is still the standard EXT. But I definitely recommend the combo pack. It was a little more expensive, but that way you have each one to kind of go back and forth on. It's also a modular system I like. So whenever this does wear out, I'll just buy a set of surfaces. Cheaper than buying a whole nother saddle because I think this titanium base, this looks really well made. Again, this is the one that's unlevel, but things happen. It just is what it is. I understand from working in manufacturing myself years ago. Not everything's perfect, but they stand behind it. They shipped me this almost instantaneously. This, I think, is well made. It's definitely got some nice, strong titanium ribs. I could probably use this one on the trainer or something, but I don't want to have to put myself through that. So that's all I got. I hope this was useful to anybody. If you have any questions, please let me know. A couple of things I want to do later this year. As you can see, I got the Apiduro frame bag. I'm going to do a review on that probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to kind of talk about that now. The front one more for winter, for keeping extra clothes and gloves and jackets to take on or off, things like that. Really liking these so far. I also got the Garmin Power Pedals. I'm going to talk about those in a little bit. I want to get some more summer rides. Right now it's February in Kentucky. I've got a couple rides in last week because it's starting to kind of get warmer now, so that's good. So I'm looking forward to really getting out a lot more and testing out. Yeah, I got this last late summer, fall, so it's worked out really well. I'll talk about it. And the Power Pedals I just got in December, so I think I only have like 200 or 300 miles on them. But if you have any questions, anything you want to know, please let me know. Always happy to help out. That's the goal of the channel. I'm just trying to help out people answer some of the questions that I couldn't find answers to when I was first searching for this bike, everything else, the kind of one bike to rule them all. You know, please, if you like what you see, ask me a question. I always try to help out and respond. That's what I'm here for. And also subscribe if you would. Like, subscribe. I don't make any money off this. I would love to one day, but I just do it because I want to help people out. So if it helped you out, please give me a subscribe or a like and give me a comment if you have any questions. All right, you have a great day, great riding, and I'll talk to you later.